Welcome back to a new section of this course. In this section, we will be talking about functions. And in this episode, we won't start programming. I just want to explain to you what functions are and why you should use functions. So if you already know what functions are but you don't know how to use them, or you have used them in another programming language, I recommend you to skip to the next episode. Otherwise, I recommend you to watch this video so you get a good understanding what functions are and why you should use them. You will be using functions a lot from now on, so I recommend you to pay attention and do a lot of extra research on them. So a function is basically a block of code written in a program to perform some specific task. So everything that we've done by now could have been put into a function, and we could call that function every time we need it. So what we did by now is creating for each loops. We created while loops, created if statements, and so on. What you could have done is put them inside a function and call the function every time you just needed that specific part of the code. But it wasn't necessary for us because I was just explaining you the basics of PHP. So in PHP, we have two major types of functions. And the first one is the built-in function. And since PHP provides us with a huge collection of built-in library functions, these functions are already coded and stored in a form of function. We've used these a lot by now, and if you remember, we used var dump, which is equal to a function. We used print_r, which is equal to a function. In the next section, I will be going in depth on some built-in functions that may be necessary in your programming career. We've also got user-defined functions. We will be focusing on these. User-defined functions are functions that we can create and customize. You might be wondering, why should I use functions if I could write down my code the way we did until this point? Well, I wrote down 3 reasons, and the first one is the reusability of code. So let's say that you need to use a common code multiple times in your application. Instead of copy-pasting or writing it down every single time, you could create a function and call the function whenever you need that specific line of code. So let's say that you want to echo out hello world, let's say 20 times in your application. You could just create a function, paste the echo inside of the function, and just call your function every time you want to echo it out, instead of copy-pasting it every single time. Second reason is that it's easier for error detection. So let's say that you coded everything in one single file. It is difficult to find out where you programmed something wrong. If we divide our code into functions, we can easily detect in which function we made a mistake. Later on, when we start working with functions, you will understand what I mean with this. And the third reason is that it's easily maintained. This is pretty much the same as the reusability of code. Let's say that you've copy-pasted a line of code multiple times and you need to change that line of code. What that means is that you need to change it everywhere in your application. If we change it inside our function, it will be changed everywhere, which makes it easy to maintain. Now let me go back to the echo example that I just gave you. Let's say that you want to change something in your echo and you want to change world to earth. You need to copy-paste it and change it everywhere. And you will be making mistakes no matter what. And if you have a function, you just need to change it in one specific place. Thank you for watching this episode, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.